I'm Kaylin, an ambitious engineer, perpetually overshadowed and undermined by my sister Lisa, the powerful director at TechTrend. In the tense interview at the sleek, glass-walled office, my heart races, sensing the trap Lisa has set to crush me once again. Will I falter, or will I shatter her shadow? A horrifying secret is about to unravel, threatening to topple Lisa's empire. Have you ever been dragged into the darkness by your own family? Because today is the day I stop begging for a seat and start building my own table. Before we dive in, what time are you tuning in, and where from? Drop a comment. Let's talk about family drama. These glossy, cold, corporate glass walls are about to witness my journey to reclaim my light, where quiet strength can change everything. The atmosphere in TechTrend Innovation's interview room is as icy as the glass walls surrounding it, reflecting the stark white glow of the company's flickering logo on a screen. I sit on a chair slightly off from the circle of candidates, as if it was deliberately placed for someone who doesn't belong. My resume, creased from sleepless nights, rests heavily in my hands, carrying the weight of rejected dreams. The other candidates, in tailored suits and confident smiles, glance past me without pause, as if I'm a smudge on the glass. I take a deep breath, reminding myself, I don't need to belong. I just need to be seen. But then, the door clicks open, and Lisa walks in. Lisa, my sister, strides in wearing a navy silk dress, her heels echoing like a drumbeat of fate. The expensive porcelain mug in her hand glints under the lights, a statement of her power. Her hair is pinned up, sharp and flawless, and her eyes sweep the room like a queen surveying her subjects. When they land on me, there's no flicker of recognition, no nod, not even a blink. She glides to the panel's table and sits, as if I'm not her sister, not the one who shared sleepless nights and childhood secrets. My chest tightens, not from surprise, but from a familiar pain, like a knife that's cut me 100 times before. Lisa isn't just my sister. She's a storm, always ready to sweep away anything I build. 7 years ago, when I applied to a tech startup, Lisa accidentally sent my email to the wrong address, with a mocking note that I wasn't ready for the real world. The project I poured my heart into, a data analysis system for a nonprofit, somehow appeared in Lisa's presentation at a San Francisco conference, her name blazing on the slides. When I confronted her, she shrugged, sipped her wine, and said, "If you were really good, you wouldn't have let me take it." Those words, sharp as a blade, became a curse, branding me as her shadow. Today, in this interview room, Lisa wields her power again. She sits at the center of the panel, her smile perfect as the host introduces her, Lisa Anderson, Chief Strategy Officer, the mastermind behind TechTrend's pioneering AI system. I bite my lip, fighting a flood of memories. That AI system, I wrote its first lines of code, spent nights in my cramped apartment optimizing algorithms, while Lisa merely slapped her name on the final report. But no one knows. No one cares. And now, she's here, poised to erase me again. An assistant wheels in a coffee cart, the bitter aroma filling the air. Pristine porcelain cups are placed before each candidate, except me. I watch the cart roll by, catching Lisa's whisper to the woman beside her, just loud enough for me to hear. She still dresses like she shops from a thrift store's reject bin. The woman, a blonde HR director, stifles a giggle. The sound pierces my chest like a needle, but I don't look down. I stare at the polished wooden table, tracing its grain like a map to guide me through this storm. In my head, I repeat, I won't run. Not this time. The interview begins with lofty phrases, leadership potential, strategic vision, core values. I sit there, feeling like I'm hearing a foreign language. When other candidates are called, Lisa leans forward, nods, jots notes, and offers encouraging smiles. But when my name is announced, Kaylin Anderson, she doesn't even look up. I stand, walk to the center, and place my resume before her. Lisa's manicured fingers flip it open, treating it like a worthless flyer. Without a word, she slides it to the man beside her, James, the CTO. He glances at it, then sets it aside, as if I never existed. I return to my seat, heat rising to my neck. A cough from behind feels like a hammer blow. I hear a whisper, "What's she even doing here?" I thought she was just an assistant. Lisa chuckles, not loudly, but enough to draw every eye to me. That smile, cold, smug, is a thin blade, cutting deeper than any words. I clench my fists, nails digging into my palms, trying to block the memories rushing in. But they come anyway, unstoppable. I remember my 25th birthday, at a fancy restaurant booked for our family. Lisa arrived late, strutting in a red dress, her smile dazzling. The room stood to applaud, as if she were a star descending from Hollywood. I sat by a potted plant, forcing a smile as Mom raised a glass to Lisa, our pride. Then Lisa, champagne sparkling in her hand, stood and read aloud a job application email I'd sent months earlier, one rejected for lack of experience. She read every line, her tone theatrical, like she was performing comedy. The table roared with laughter, even Dad, who always called me his sweet girl. I sat there, clutching my napkin, the world shrinking to just me and my humiliation. Today, in this interview room, Lisa is replaying that script with a new audience. She leans toward James, whispering, "Does she really think she can sit at our table?" Hilarious. James smirks, shaking his head. I look down at my scuffed shoes, worn through countless failed interviews, and wonder if Lisa's right. Am I truly not enough to stand here? But then, another memory flashes, not of pain, but of strength. I recall nights hunched over my laptop, teaching myself to code, building an AI system from scratch while Lisa took credit. I'm not a failure. I just haven't been seen. Lisa commands the room, her voice sweet but sharp as she questions other candidates. Each question is a performance, reinforcing her untouchable status. But I know, behind that smile, she's afraid that one day, my light will outshine hers. And the secret she's hiding, the one I sense in her fleeting glances, is waiting to unravel everything. I take a deep breath, clutch my resume, and tell myself, this isn't the end. This is where I begin. The interview room at Tech Trend Innovations is a glass cage, where white light from the ceiling judges us all. I sit rigid on a stiff chair, clutching a cheap ballpoint pen, feeling like a gladiator thrown into an arena where no one bets on my survival. The other candidates, with their Mont Blanc pens and polished voices, take turns standing, presenting achievements that gleam like medals. I wait, heart pounding, hoping for a chance to prove myself. But the panel, with their stone-cold faces and eyes that skim over me like I'm a discarded item, seems to have decided my fate before I even speak. When my name is finally called, Kaylin Anderson, James, the CTO, says it with a smirk, as if my name is a punchline no one finds funny. I stand, legs trembling but back straight, and walk to the panel. The room's eyes fix on me, not with curiosity, but with the glee of spectators awaiting a flop. "Show us what you've got," James says, his tone daring a child to climb Everest. I open my mouth to discuss my experience with predictive data models, but a woman on the panel, with sleek blonde hair and pursed lips, raises a hand to cut me off. "No need for speeches," she snaps. "Take this test. 8 minutes. No questions." A thick stack of papers lands before me like a brick. I flip to the first page, and my heart stops. The test is a labyrinth of questions on system architecture, algorithm optimization, and risk analysis, problems that demand hours, not 8 minutes. I glance up, catching James's smug grin, as if he knows I'll crumble. A soft laugh ripples from a corner, and I hear a whisper, "What does she think this is? A college hackathon?" The laughter spreads like ripples on a pond, drowning me in shame. I grip the pen, my hand shaking so much the ink smears. 8 minutes. No time for fear. I write, code and ideas pouring out like a dam breaking. Each question is a flame, and I dive in, drawing on months of self-taught coding, nights of crashing systems at 3 a.m., and the belief that I'm not the failure they think. I block out the ticking clock, the panel stares. It's just me, the paper, and my resolve not to be erased. When I set the pen down at the final second, sweat beads on my forehead, I slide the papers to James. He doesn't look at me. He flips through them carelessly, then, before the entire room, tears them in half. The sound of ripping paper cuts like shattered glass. The pieces flutter to the floor like broken wings. "You'd be better off at a bakery," James says, his tone mockingly kind. "Tech isn't for people like you." Laughter erupts, unfiltered, like a wave crashing over me. I stand there, breath caught, the world shrinking to the paper scraps at my feet. Someone on the panel coughs, hiding a smile. A candidate whispers, "How embarrassing." I want to scream, to run, but my feet are rooted. Then, a memory sparks, not of defeat, but of strength. I recall the morning after a long night of debugging, when the sunrise glowed through my window and I solved a problem that stumped an entire team. I did it alone, through my own grit. They can tear paper, but they can't tear what I've built in my mind and heart. I lift my head, locking eyes with James, and see a flicker of unease. The laughter dies. The room falls silent, save for my heartbeat, a declaration that I'm not done. The interview resumes, as if I were a wisp of smoke that vanished. Another candidate speaks of global innovation. Applause rings out, like nothing happened. I return to my seat, heat burning my face, but I don't bow my head. I look at my hands, still clutching a stray piece of paper from the floor. The words on it, my answer, are proof I fought. They want me to believe I'm unworthy, but I know the truth. And I sense, in the panel's averted glances, that they're hiding something, not just about Lisa, but about me. I stand, leave the room, not to quit, but to regroup. The door closes, but I know this battle has just begun. I stand in TechTrend Innovation's empty hallway, the frosted glass reflecting my silhouette. A girl with trembling shoulders and worn shoes, but eyes no longer afraid. The laughter from the room lingers, invisible arrows chasing me. I clutch the last piece of paper I salvaged from the floor, a fragment of my torn test, with my scrawled solution for data flow optimization. It's not just an answer. It's proof I fought, even if they refuse to see. I walk slowly, my shoes echoing on the marble floor like a drumbeat urging me forward. Each step reminds me, they want me to believe I'm worthless, but I'm not what they say. I pause at a wide window, gazing at the city below, skyscrapers glinting, streets buzzing, and somewhere, a version of me waiting to break free. I think of the moment just past, when James tossed my torn papers to the floor, when the panel's eyes turned me into a joke. I could walk away, return to my tiny apartment, keep scraping by on freelance gigs, and let Lisa win. But then, a memory flashes, not of pain, but of strength. I recall an evening 2 years ago, sitting in a park near my apartment under a dim streetlight, a notebook filled with ideas in my lap. I sketched a risk prediction system, an idea that later became the backbone of a small startup I consulted for. When it ran successfully, the client hugged me, saying I'd transformed their work. No one in my family knew. No one on that panel cared. But in that moment, under the streetlight, I felt my worth, not through others' praise, but through what I created. I don't need their permission to exist, I think, my fingers tightening around the paper, as if it's a vow. I turn back. Not out of anger, but from a quiet certainty growing inside me. The interview room door looms ahead, and I push it open without knocking. The room falls silent. The panel, mid-laughter with another candidate, freezes. James, his smile lingering, raises an eyebrow. "What are you doing back here?" he asks, as if addressing a lost child. Lisa, at the center, leans forward, her eyes narrowing like a predator ready to pounce. "Kaylin, haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" she says, her voice sweet but sharp as broken glass. I don't answer immediately. I walk to the empty chair, no one invited me to sit, and pull it out, its legs scraping the floor like a declaration of war. I sit, place the paper on the table, and look straight at Lisa. "I'm not done," I say, my voice calm but firm, like water flowing over stone. "I want to retake the test. Or, if you prefer, I'll present what I know about TechTrend's AI system, the parts no one in this room bothered to ask me about." A soft laugh ripples from a corner, but it dies as my gaze sweeps the room. James shrugs, exchanging a glance with Lisa, as if they're enjoying a game. "Fine," he says, sliding a new stack of papers toward me. 8 minutes, no more. Don't expect us to change our minds. Lisa laughs, unmasked. Still stubborn as ever, she says, but I hear a crack in her voice, a flicker of unease she can't hide. I pick up the pen, and this time, my hand doesn't shake. I write, not to prove anything to them, but to remind myself. Each answer is a brick, building a Kaylin they can't destroy. I feel the panel's eyes shift, no longer just mocking, but tinged with curiosity. When I slide the papers to James, he doesn't tear them. He flips through, lips pursed, then sets them down. Not bad, he says, his tone still skeptical. But it won't change anything. I don't expect them to change. I'm not here to beg. I stand, but before leaving, I kneel, gathering the scattered pieces of my old test from the floor. Not to salvage, but to keep, a paper scar, reminding me I stood tall when they wanted me to kneel. Lisa leans forward, pressing a high heel onto the last piece, as if to crush my resolve. Still crawling for attention, Kaylin, she whispers, her voice dripping with disdain. I look up, not with the tears or shame she expects. I smile, small but sharp, and pull the paper from under her heel. No, Lisa, I say, my voice light as air but heavy as stone. I'm just reminding myself I don't need your attention to stand. The room goes still, the air sucked dry. Lisa opens her mouth, but no words come. I rise, tuck the paper in my pocket, and walk out, feeling like I've shed an invisible chain. In the hallway, I pause, breathe deeply, and feel my heartbeat, steady, strong, no longer panicked. I look out at the city, where the sunset bathes the buildings in gold. I don't know what secret awaits Lisa, but I know one thing, I'm no longer the girl afraid of her shadow. I've reclaimed myself, piece by piece, and they can't take that away again. The door behind me closes, but I'm ready for what lies ahead, a fight not just for justice, but for me. The hallway of Tech Trend Innovations is silent, my footsteps echoing steadily, like a heartbeat rediscovering its strength. The paper from my test, now tucked in my pocket, is no longer a wound but a badge, proof I fought, even if the panel refused to see. I breathe deeply, ready to leave, but a sound stops me, the sharp ding of the elevator, like a bell signaling a tidal wave. Gavin steps out, tall and commanding in a flawless black suit, his eyes calm but sharp, cutting through the haze. He's not just my fiancé, he's a powerful investor in Tech Trend, respected across the tech world. I freeze, my heart pounding, not from surprise, but from the sense that a storm is coming. He approaches, saying nothing, just resting a hand lightly on my shoulder, a touch that anchors me. I'm here, he whispers, his voice low but steady. You okay? I nod, feeling like I've reclaimed a piece of myself. Without waiting for more, Gavin pushes open the interview room door, and I follow, no longer the girl knocked down but one ready to claim her light. The room falls into a deathly silence. Lisa, mid-whisper with James, freezes, her smile dissolving like mist in sunlight. James, his smugness lingering, leaps up, stammering, Mr. Maxwell, we didn't know you'd be here. The panel, with their gleaming pens and haughty eyes, shrinks back, as if the air has been sucked out. Gavin doesn't respond. He strides to the panel's table, setting down a thick black folder embossed with Tech Trend's logo. I think you need to review your hiring process, he says, his voice calm but cold as steel. He opens the folder, flipping pages, his words ringing clear and unstoppable. Kaylin Anderson developed the core algorithm for Tech Trend's 2022 risk prediction system, boosting data processing efficiency by 42%. She also authored the data flow analysis model in your flagship product, though none of you credited her in the reports. The room stops breathing. Lisa's hands clench, nails digging into her palms, her eyes flickering between panic and rage. James bows his head, flipping through the folder as if seeking an escape. A panelist, the blonde who laughed at me, whispers, "We didn't know." But Gavin doesn't stop. He pulls out a chart, its sharp curves illustrating the efficiency of my system. "This is Kaylin's work," he says, his voice ironclad. "And this," he points to an internal email, "is proof she was sidelined from projects for reasons unrelated to her ability." I stand there, feeling my heart break free from an iron cage. Each of Gavin's words is a hammer, smashing the walls Lisa and the panel built to hide me. But then, he pauses, his eyes sweeping the room, and I feel a spark, a secret about to explode. One more thing, Gavin says, his voice dropping like the calm before a storm. He pulls out a printout, an email dated 2 years ago. This is an offer from Lisa Anderson, sent to me, asking me to block Kaylin from TechTrend's biggest AI project. She called it protecting company interests. But do you know what she offered? The room is so silent I hear my own heartbeat. Gavin flips the page, his voice turning icy. Lisa offered me a 10% stake in a secret investment fund in exchange for ensuring Kaylin was never credited. I refused, because I know Kaylin's worth, something you've all chosen to ignore. A sharp gasp escapes Lisa, like she's been stabbed. I look at her, not with anger, but with deep sorrow. Were you that afraid of me? I whisper, my voice trembling but not weak. Lisa opens her mouth, but no words come. Her face pales, as if her entire world just crumbled beneath her. The panel erupts in panicked whispers. James flips through papers, searching for an excuse. The blonde woman bows her head, avoiding my gaze. Gavin raises a hand, demanding silence, and turns to me. Kaylin, anything you want to say? He asks, his voice gentle but full of trust. I step forward, placing the test paper on the glass table. I'm not here to beg, I say, my voice steady as stone. I'm here because I know my worth, even if you chose not to see it. What I've built doesn't need your approval to exist. A memory flashes, not of Lisa, but of me, in my tiny apartment. The laptops glow on my tired but radiant face as I finished an algorithm after 3 sleepless days. In that moment, I knew I was enough, not for anyone else, but for myself. Now, before this panel, I'm no longer the trembling girl in the dark. I'm Kaylin, who built the systems they rely on, and no one can take that away. Gavin nods, his eyes shining with pride. He turns back to the panel, his voice steel. I suggest reviewing this entire interview on security footage. Let your actions speak for themselves. A screen in the corner lights up, and the footage begins, not to save me, but to expose the truth. I stand there, feeling the weight of the panel's eyes shift to Lisa, no longer with reverence, but with doubt. Her secret, like a bomb, has detonated, and I know, from here, nothing can keep me in the dark anymore. The TechTrend Innovations boardroom, once a stage for Lisa's arrogance, now feels like a silent courtroom. Every eye on her, not with admiration, but with outrage and suspicion. I stand beside Gavin, the test paper in my pocket a reminder of the journey to this moment. Gavin's final words, about Lisa's attempt to bribe him to block me from the AI project, hang in the air, an unpronounced verdict. Lisa, hands trembling and face ashen, grips the table's edge, as if it's her last lifeline in a flood sweeping her away. James, the CTO, breaks the silence, his voice shaky as he tries to reclaim lost authority. This must be a misunderstanding, he stammers, flipping through Gavin's folder as if a saving clause might appear. But Gavin gives him no quarter. He pulls out a slim, sharp-edged document. This is TechTrend's internal system log, he says, his voice iron. It tracks every edit to candidate profiles. And this, he points to a bolded line, is proof Lisa Anderson added a false note to Kaylin's 2023 profile, labeling her incompetent and culturally unfit. Metadata confirms Lisa's account, logged in from her office. A soft groan escapes Lisa, like she's been stabbed. I look at her, not with glee, but with a deep ache, as if watching someone who was once my sister disintegrate. The panel stirs. The blonde woman, who laughed at my humiliation, scoots her chair back, distancing herself from the storm. Another member, in a red silk tie, whispers to his neighbor, if this gets out, our stock will tank. But Gavin isn't done. He activates the corner screen, displaying an email Lisa sent from a personal account, posing as me, to a major TechTrend client, calling them short-sighted and a waste of time. The signature bears my name, but the digital trail leads to Lisa. This is internal fraud, Gavin says, his voice cold as ice. Not just unethical, but illegal. Shall I go on? The room is so silent I hear Lisa's ragged breaths. She leaps up, pointing at me, eyes red like a cornered animal. She set this up, she screams, her voice cracking. Kaylin wants to ruin me. She knows I'll always outshine her, so she staged this. But no one moves. No one buys it. James looks away. The blonde woman shakes her head, muttering, she's done. I step forward, not to attack, but to face her. You didn't need me to ruin you, I say, my voice calm but sharp as steel. You did that when you chose to climb over others instead of standing on your own. Lisa blinks, as if my words pierced her perfect facade. She opens her mouth, but only a sob escapes. In that moment, I don't see a powerful director. I see a woman haunted by fear of being outdone, willing to destroy her own sister to stay on top. The board chairman, an older man with silver hair, stands, his voice low but unyielding. Lisa Anderson, you're suspended immediately, he says. Legal will take over. Security will escort you out. 2 guards enter, not roughly, but their presence is a full stop. Lisa stands, shoulders shaking, her eyes darting around for an ally, finding only cold faces. She turns to me, in a final bid for control, whispering, her voice broken, you think you're better than me now, don't you? You'll never escape my shadow. I meet her gaze, not with anger, but with clarity I've never had. I don't need to escape your shadow, I say. I've built my own light. Lisa blinks, as if my words stole her last breath. She lowers her head, and as security leads her out, her heels clack weakly, no longer a triumphant drum, but a funeral march. The room quiets, only the rustle of papers as the panel scrambles through documents. I stand there, an invisible shackle lifted. A memory flashes, not of Lisa, but of me as a child, on a backyard bench, dreaming of creating something great. Lisa once laughed, saying I was too small for big dreams. But now, in this room, I see that dream wasn't small. It was the fire that carried me through the dark, and no one, not even Lisa, could extinguish it. James coughs, trying to regain composure. We'll reconsider your case, Ms. Anderson, he says, avoiding my eyes. I don't need his promises. I have myself, and Gavin's recognition, not as salvation, but as confirmation I was always worthy. I look out the window, where the sunset still blazes, and feel a profound relief. Lisa fell, not because of me, but because of her own choices. And I, finally free, stand not above her, but firmly on my own path. The panel, their eyes now avoiding each other, whispers, as if trying to find rhythm after an earthquake. Chairman Henderson stands, his voice low but heavy with acknowledgement. Ms. Anderson, he says, looking directly at me, after reviewing what's transpired, we'd like to offer you the role of AI project lead, effective immediately. He pauses, expecting a burst of emotion. But I nod calmly, not from lack of feeling, but because I've known my worth long before they had to see it. And, he adds, Lisa's office, the glass corner with the city view, is yours. I glance out, picturing that office, a lavish space with a walnut desk and leather chair, where Lisa once ruled like a queen. I can see her there, signing million-dollar deals, flashing perfect smiles for magazine interviews. It was her throne, but it's not where I belong. Thank you, I say, my voice even but firm, but I'd prefer a space near the tech team, where the real work happens. The panel exchanges surprised looks, but Henderson nods, a rare smile breaking through. Very well, he says. We'll make it happen. Signing the contract feels like a melody, the pen gliding on paper, not a loud triumph, but the peace of a chapter closing. I don't need Lisa's throne, the spotlight, or applause. I need code, late-night brainstorms, and people building the future with me. Leaving the boardroom, I walk through the hallway, the sunset outside casting a golden glow, as if the city is embracing me. I pause at Lisa's old office, its door ajar, a cleaning crew wiping away her last traces. A framed quote she loved, "The strong make the rules," lies discarded on the floor. I don't step inside. There's nothing to reclaim, nothing to prove. I've surpassed her, not by taking, but by choosing my own path. In my new office, a simple room with fresh paint and sunlight streaming through the window, I breathe in possibility. The space is bare, a wooden desk, a blank whiteboard, a canvas for my ideas. I pull out the test paper and pin it to the board, not as a scar, but as a medal. It doesn't remind me of Lisa, but of Kaylin, the girl who rose, piece by piece, and never gave up. My phone buzzes, a text from Mom, "Sweetie, I'm sorry. I didn't know things went this far." I stare at the screen, fingers hovering, then set it down without replying. Not out of anger, but because I don't need apologies to move forward. My family, with their toasts to Lisa and pity for sweet Kaylin, was once an invisible cage. But I've flown free, and my sky doesn't need their permission. A soft knock interrupts. A young woman stands at the door, hair tied high, eyes bright but nervous, clutching a folder like a lifeline. "Kaylin," she says, voice trembling, "I got called back for the interview. The role you told me to try for. I don't know how to thank you." I recognize her, the girl I met in the hallway weeks ago, shrinking after a failed interview, eyes full of self-doubt. I'd told her, "Don't let them make you think you're not enough." I smile, stand, and rest a hand on her shoulder. "You're worthy," I say, looking into her eyes, as if speaking to my younger self. She nods, tears welling, then hugs me tightly, her heartbeat against mine. "Thank you for not giving up," she whispers, and I fight back tears. In that moment, I'm not just Kaylin, project lead. I'm a spark, passing strength to those still seeking their light. I sit, sunlight warming the pinned paper. I grab a pen, writing beside it, "Don't let anyone make you doubt your worth. It's not just for future candidates, but a promise to myself." I look out at the city, lights twinkling in the dusk, and feel a freedom I've never known. Lisa said I'd always be beneath her, but I've built my own sky, not to outshine her, but to be me. I step into the hallway, joining Tech Trend's pulse. Laughter echoes somewhere, a car honks outside, and the world keeps moving. But this time, it doesn't swallow me. I'm Kaylin, and I've found my path, not in anyone's shadow, but in the light I created. Kaylin's story teaches us that your worth doesn't need others' validation, even from family. Despite being pushed down, you can build your own light with persistence and belief. Don't wait for a seat, create your own table. Act today, set a goal, push past doubt, and affirm you're enough. Like, comment with your inspiring story, and subscribe for deeper lessons. Your support is the spark that fuels our heartfelt content.